the child was a fetus, you wanted to terminate the pregnancy. You didn't want the child. I mean,
So everybody click the comment, watch the video for context. This was brought up in one of my late night lives just a couple of days ago when this story just broke. And talked to a couple of lawyer friends that are watching this case, that kind of thing. And yeah, this is going to be a contract or tort case. And it's going to be one to watch. Now, I don't know if the contract has been released yet. It probably will be. Where it was signed is going to say a lot about how this case goes forward. But let's deal with the part that I actually stitched here. I was of the same opinion, Tom, when I first heard about this. A surrogate who is having a pregnancy for another couple. Genetic material that the genetic parasite that's growing within her womb does not belong to her. It belongs to somebody else. But the second that the birth parents, the genetic parents of the material, stated that they wanted an abortion, I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe this would just sever the contract. But it doesn't. First, let me nerd out a little bit on the hypoplastic left heart syndrome that this now newborn who was diagnosed when he was 20 weeks gestation of having. This means that the left ventricle, the left side of this child's heart, either was severely underdeveloped or not developed at all, meaning that the heart can't pump blood effectively through the child's system. Within 2 to 3 days after birth, this child would need extensive open heart surgery to save its life. And even then, it's a coin toss of whether or not they actually make it through that first surgery. I say first surgery because there's 2 others behind it that need to be done. Even then, life expectancy for this type of defect is not a sure bet. So when the genetic parents saw this on the ultrasound and talked to their doctors and weighed the benefits and the risk of bringing a medically fragile child into the world that very well might die at the hands of surgeons because they're not able to actually fix the defect or need a heart transplant, because that's actually part of the treatment depending on the severity. They made the conscious decision. They were thinking of their child that was growing in some woman's body and what was best for their child. So they said, let's go and terminate this pregnancy and we'll start over again. And the surrogate agreed. They actually made the appointment. The surrogate went to the appointment, but before the procedure could be done, she fled. She left and told the genetic parents of the material that she's carrying that she couldn't go through with it. So the parents said, that's fine. That's not a big deal. We want you to move to California and have the baby here. So that the doctors that see this baby upon birth will be the same doctors that see this baby through his entire life. They wanted continuity of care. And the second that they said that they wanted continuity of care, that they wanted her to move to California to deliver that baby in California, that is when she fled to Texas. That is when I believe she knew very well what she was doing. She was doing this to make a splash. She was doing this to make a story, and now she's caught. She doesn't know how to get out of it. Ken Paxton, being the shitty person he is, of course is using this as his election campaign, even going so far as not calling the child by its given name of Rumi and calling it Gabriel. And stopping the genetic parents from taking their child to California so that their child can have continuity of care. It's not that the parents didn't want that baby. They wanted what was best for that baby. And what was best for that baby, with the defects that he had, was for at 20 weeks for him to be aborted. That way, He's not born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome. That way, he's not having to face 3 surgeries or a heart transplant, God forbid. He wouldn't have to face a lifetime of medical care necessary to save his life. Those parents were thinking of their child and what was best for their child when they asked for the abortion. But the moment that the surrogate said, I cannot do this, the parents said, okay, we understand. It's not like we can tie you down and force you to do it. So you don't want to do it? Fine, we will move from there and prepare for a medically fragile child to be born. And that's when this woman fled with somebody else's genetic material. Where it comes into now is we need to see the contract, because the surrogacy contract is going to tell us a lot. Is an abortion procedure part of that contract if things go wrong? Did she sign it? Did she understand what she was signing when she signed up to be a surrogate? That begs another question as well. If a surrogate cannot separate themselves from the genetic material which is growing within inside their womb, they're not a good candidate to be a surrogate. The entire point of being a surrogate is knowing that that child is not yours, whether or not it has your genetic material or not, but most especially if it doesn't have any of your genetic material, that fetus is not yours, doesn't belong to you. You're just playing host, and that's it. But that does not mean that the parents did not want that child. It just means that their medical decisions were overridden by a host body and not the genetic parents.